Hey, everybody. Welcome to Acolyte After Hours for episode 6. I am Jimmy from Explore the Force, and I'm trying to get my Instagram thing to work right now. I'm not sure if it is, but once again, we have lots of people joining us. This is probably the biggest group we've had, so I'm going to go ahead and bring them on one at a time, let them introduce themselves, and then we're going to dive into this episode. And then we want to hear from you as well, what you thought, what you liked, what you didn't like. Just kind of our first raw impressions, and then we'll have time to decipher our feelings and all that good stuff. But first up, I'm going to bring my oldest friend. He is 1 day older than me and probably had the first Star Wars experience with me. So, how's it going, Mike?
Good. 2 in a row.
2 in a row, man.
Good to be back. Thanks for having me.
Of course. How have you been? How's your week?
Fantastic. Good. The best weather day I've had all week yesterday. Sunny and in the 70s, and it's a mailman's dream.
Yeah, I'm sure. So, all right. Well, thanks for coming back. Appreciate it. Next, we've got someone with the first 2 episodes. Marie, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. How many cosplays, High Republic robes have you finished since we talked during episodes 1 and 2?
I was injured for a little while, so I took a break from sewing, but I have completed a tunic and a set of tabards since then.
Nice. I know. I saw the
2 Avar tiaras.
Yes, I saw the diadems that you created. Those are awesome.
They're fun.
Yeah, very cool. All right, and we have the one and only Clan Brandon Lauren is back. What's up, Brandon?
What's up, y'all? How we doing?
Good, man. Thanks for joining us.
Of course, thank you.
We have his co-pilot for most of his shows. We got Bailey joining us for the first time for on.
How we doing, guys?
Good, man. How are you?
Living the dream.
Living the dream. All right. So, welcome everybody again. Thank you for coming on. You probably heard me saying that's it's kind of crazy that we hop on 5 minutes after we watch the episode. So you will have to forgive us out there in the real world if we make a mistake and we mess something up, because we just saw this like 10 minutes ago. All right. Again, free floating. We'll kind of go through the episode in order, but if you feel like something's really grabbing you need to dive into something, don't feel free to just bring it to the forefront. And we do have some people. We got the Dad Vader in in the stream right now listening to us too. I think he's coming on next week. But we are here to discuss episode 6. The title, we go back to 2 titles: Teach/Corrupt. And I think that for myself and I know Marie, both teachers, this kind of, we'll get to it, but the difference between teaching and corrupting, is it really that different, right? Because of possibility. So I thought that was a pretty clever title when I saw it. Directed by Hanella M. Culpepper. I know I said her first name wrong, but I got Culpepper right. Written by Leslie Headland herself and Jocelyn Bio. First off, we'll just kind of go the way we introduced you. Thoughts on this episode? Love it? Hate it? What do you think, Mike, compared to what we just come off of episode 5?
Yep. Well, Jimmy, last week we got called out right off the bat for being Disney shills. So this week I want to assure everybody I've thrown away the talking points. I'm just going to talk from the heart today. My biggest impression from this episode is frustration. We got so close to getting the full story, but we didn't get there. And you were expecting an episode like this, a lot of exposition after a high intensity episode last week. But yeah, it's a little frustrating not to get all the information that we wanted to get.
Yeah, that's something we talked about here at the house, was how many times can he say, "I'm about to tell you," and then something so we'll get to that. Marie, how are you feeling? Are you the same issues there, or?
I was definitely expecting this episode to be our flashback episode, that we get the full picture, especially looking at the the title structure. It seems like they were going in like a symmetrical thing, and we'd like get the other half of Destiny, and we didn't. But that being said, I still love the episode. I love all of the lore and the backstory, and I think it's some good setup. But I'm waiting for next week.
Yeah, that's what I feel like we keep saying. Brandon, thoughts on the episode? What do you think?
As always, I think it's good. You know, the shills we are, of course, we're gonna say it's good. But no, I think it was a good. Not really so much of a filler, but kind of a filler. It was just kind of taking that step, cranking up once we get to the top, and then we finally got last week's episode, and now we just took a straight shot down. And I think that's kind of where we're at, but it's still good though. It's not going off the rails by any means. Still on track.
Bailey, we haven't had you on the show yet. So before you tell us about this episode, how have you been feeling about the Acolyte? Love it? Hate it?
I think it's really good. I think the only minor complaint I have is I thought the backstory episode, while good and necessary, I thought it was kind of boring.
Okay.
But I mean, everything else, I think it's well written. I think it's well acted. I don't think it deserves any of the hate it's gotten.
No. Well, yeah, no, I right there with you. So what do you think about this episode then? Like, you had that big battle scenes, episode 5. I mean, were you expecting it to be slower, or is this kind of what you expected, or?
Yeah, this is what I expected. I mean, they hit, like Brandon said, they hit the high bar last week with, just action for the entire episode. You're not going to really live up to that next week. And I kind of figured that they were going to lead us right up to what happened back when they were kids, and then cut it. So that wasn't surprising. I mean, it was disappointing because I want to know now. I'm not very patient, so I want to know now. But I'm not surprised. I really like seeing the other side to the Sith Lords here, because usually we see them. The only time we saw Palpatine as nice and amiable was when he's trying to seduce people to the dark side. Mm-hmm. Which is what he's trying to do with Osha here. True, but it feels different for some reason. I don't know why.
All right. Well, that's kind of what I'm going to bring the Dad Vader's question up here, and he says, "Rules not as clear as we thought for teacher and corruptor." Let's just talk about that title real quick, because this is one of the things I wanted to talk about at the end, but I think it might be a good place to start this. So, rules not as clear as we thought. When you saw teach/corrupt, did it go the way you thought it was going to go? Like, why do you think they named it this, I guess? And I don't know if you guys even, worry about the titles or not. Sometimes we worry about them afterwards. Sometimes we don't worry about them at all. But did it go the way you thought it was going to go? Like, did you, was it who's teaching, who's corrupting, that kind of thing? Or is there more than just what we're seeing so far? So, Brandon, what do you think?
I don't know. Maybe Soul could be corrupting a little bit. I feel like we're starting to see his true colors. Maybe that if we're going to go off titles, maybe it's I feel like so far nothing is what it seems to be. So I think this episode, maybe it's actually pointing to the good guys, quote unquote, maybe Soul and what he stands for with the Jedi Order. But it seems like he's starting to kind of come out a little bit. And like Mike said at the beginning, I felt like we're just right there to knowing, the story, at least just a little bit of it. And it's not what we got. So that's just, I feel like that title kind of does come into play. But I mean, clear as day. I mean, Kymir's trying to get Osha to kind of get under his wing. And from what we see, it kind of looks like it's it might be working. So maybe that's the teaching, and maybe he's teaching corruption. Who knows?
Yeah. Marie, what about you? You're a teacher. You're an educator. We get blamed. For those of you who aren't teachers, may not know this, but like we get blamed all the time, saying that we're corrupting kids and that we have agendas. I mean, it's like a microcosm of the stuff that's happening in Star Wars, but we deal with it like every day from parents who talk to us, and there's people out there who think that we're like corrupting. So Marie teaches high school and college. So what do you think, Marie? What do you think about this title?
I didn't really think too much about the title, I think, until the end. And then when May, who was pretending to be Osha, was talking about how like the Jedi caused her to change. Obviously, May doesn't know this because May was not part of the Jedi, but I think there's something there. Like there's a truth to that. That like when become a Jedi, certainly becoming a Jedi at 8 years old, you're gonna have to change parts of yourself to sort of become part of the group. And is that corruption or is that teaching? And I don't know. I'm kind of interested to see the evolution of that.
Yeah, very cool. What about you, Mike?
I just like the whole season, how it's exploring, this whole relationship. Previous to this, anytime you've seen a Jedi, they're the bright shining heroes, and this is the first time we're seeing them is something different. Like, yeah, they're still the heroes of the story, but there's something underlying that's not what we're used to seeing.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Bailey, what about you?
My take from this is exactly what Mike just said. Is we're like he said, we're used to seeing the Jedi as the shining light in the galaxy, as the unequivocal good guys. But what we're seeing now is, while as a whole they are good still, they do sometimes some shady things to be the good guys.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of the, I don't want to spend too much time tonight talking about the negativity, but I do think that that's some of the problems. People are having a hard time seeing their heroes this way. And it has been kind of difficult, but I don't know if reading some of the stuff that we've read and different things like that, I'm kind of ready for it. But I think you guys are right that seeing our heroes from this different side, I don't think it's bad though. I think it's good to see.
It's good storytelling. It's something different, something we're not used to. Sometimes it feels good to have the same story retold, but it's nice to branch out and have different stories too. So,
I mean, that's what everyone keeps saying they want, and then when they get it, they're complaining. But let's talk about the sets, okay? The cave. We open up on another of Osha waking up. They could have just.
She sleeps a lot.
She does sleep a lot, right? But let's just talk about. So we have the cave, we have the planet, and we have the elephant birds. What do we think about this whole opening scene? She's kind of going around and following Chimera and stuff like that. How do we feel about, and where do you think this planet is? Because it says unknown planet, which is very weird because they're pointing out that it's unknown, not saying anything about it. So I thought that was kind of weird because when I first was watching it, okay, why aren't they telling us that? And then when they flash back to it, it says unknown planet. So what do we think? What's happening there? How did you feel about, because one of the complaints has been like sets look fake. It doesn't look Star Warsy. So Murray, what do you think about the sets, the planet, which I think is outside of Portugal? It's like an island.
That looks right. Yeah.
So what do you think?
I love the set so far. I love all of the details. Just the details of the tiny little elephant bird thingies. I want one for my shelf. I think they're adorable. But I think I was really struck how the scene mirrors so many of those other opening scenes that we've gotten with Osha, because we've gotten her waking up from the ship in the very first episode, and we got her waking up after the crash on Karlak. And all three kind of follow the same model, where she wakes up, kind of looks around, and then tries to figure out what's going on. And I think it's cool, seeing that now, and then being able to compare it to sort of her journey and where she's been in the galaxy. She's truly somewhere unknown, not just an unknown planet, but now with this master that she doesn't know, and potentially exploring other areas of the Force that she has never used before.
Yeah,
so I thought it was cool. True. Good symbolism.
All right. Yeah, very good. Mike, what do you think about the elephant birds and just in general? And is that okay that I call them elephant birds? Because I didn't see a name.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out what I would call them. And that's fitting. They're bird-like. They have elephant noses. There's some other odd elements to them too, but they're pretty cool. I'd love to vacation at that spot. That island is dope, man. When she woke up in that cave, I was like, oh man, that's an awesome cave. The little hot tub and everything there, little dinner cooking on the little stuff. I'd like the vacation there.
All right. So Mike's a fan. Bailey, about you, how'd you feel about the setting?
that was a really cool cave, and I think I'm hoping that it's kind of an abandoned planet other than these two, because I think it would be a cool difference between the Jedi, who are many and are on Coruscant, a planet of many, and the Sith on this abandoned planet where there's two. Just kind of shows the parallels, the isolation versus the presence.
Fair enough. Brian, what about you?
Yeah, that's a good look. Yeah, I like the cave too. It looks cozy. It looks nice. I was hoping that when the text showed up, it would say Octu. I thought that would be a really cool
I thought so.
call.
Yeah.
That would have been cool.
But of course, my wife loves porgs, so I was waiting to look over and see some porgs, and then her face would light up, but it didn't. So she liked the little elephant birds too. I did. I do like the kind of like a little salt lake thing that Chimera went into, because I was like, okay. And especially with all of the Abeloth rumors, she went to the pool of knowledge. So I'm like, is this where this originates? Like, is this the pool of knowledge here? But maybe not. Maybe it's just a big natural back to water or something. I don't know. But yeah, I liked it. I thought it looked really good.
Good. Glad you guys liked it. Yeah, I thought it looked great. I mean, it looks like Octo. I don't know if they're trying to mislead us or whatever, but and that's what, let me see real here quick. Dad Vader, he says he was thinking this is the island Luke ran into in the sequels. It does look that way. It says unknown planet. I mean, we'll find out. And then Jedi Lex has joined us. She's a really good question. I don't want to bring it up yet, Lex. I'm not ignoring it. I think it's an awesome question, and I will bring it up here shortly. But so we get to, and it goes from this scene, it flashes back to May on the ship. And my big thing too is, okay, I'll say I love the cave. I hate these ships. Like, I don't know what it is about the ship, but I don't like them. I do see how they could maybe morph into the T6s, because they kind of have like the wings coming out, but that's my issue. All right. I'm not going to yell at anybody else. I'm not going to yell at Disney. No one's going to take my check back. So, we got Basil sneaking around. There's a lot of real world technology problems that they're suffering from. I mean, they had to turn it off and turn it back on. I thought it was a little too on the nose. And then factory reset and Pip. I know I'm going a little out of order, but how do we like real world tech problems? Because when they was all staticky, I looked over to my wife and like, oh, they must have T-Mobile. Like I was like, what's happening there? That stuff. And then what do you think about how she's portraying the two different characters, May and Osha? I was kind of pleasantly surprised by the difference in them from the cave scene to the ship scene. Like, she felt like two different people. So you can talk a little bit about the, just the kind of silliness with the real world tech problems, and then what you think about the, how Amanda Lestenberg is portraying these two characters. So Bailey, what do you think about that? How do you feel about those different things?
I'm glad I listened to you guys, because you talking about the real world tech problems. I mean, it's really obvious now, but that's something I completely glanced over and I would have never thought about unless you'd said something. But as for the acting, I'm a big movie guy personally, so I see a lot of movies, and it seems to me like if you're playing two characters, twins, something like that, that's one of the hardest things that you can do acting wise. And I think she does a really good job. I mean, from like the mannerisms and the body language, like you were saying, they feel like totally different people. I think it's really impressive.
Mike.
Yeah, I mean, not what to say about the tech problems. I guess it's just a thing. But yeah, I would echo Bailey's thoughts there with the acting. I mean, I think she's doing great. It is two identical people, but she's nailing the minutia between them, making it a distinct difference. I get no complaints. She's doing a great job.
Awesome. Go ahead. Marie, what do you think about her acting? And was it too close to the nose as a teacher? Turn it off, turn it back on, and it all resets. Like, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, as far as the tech problems, I was kind of waiting for them to tell us that Basil was the one messing with all the tech, because like he was kind of sneaking around, and I figured that he was trying to like set a trap for May, which he did essentially.
Yeah.
And they never like explained the tech problem. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm just like imagining things. But as far as the acting, I think Amandla has done a fantastic job. I mean, they are truly a phenomenal actor, and you could really feel that they were portraying May pretending to be OSHA, which is like layers of personality. And I thought that was really cool.
All right, very cool. Brandon, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way everyone else does. One thing I kind of like to see with the with Pip was that when she reset, he got the Sith eyes.
Yeah,
So I thought that was really cool. Like Riva did that to Lola. It happened to C-3PO. So that was really cool to see that. I don't know if that was a on purpose little call, but that was something I took from it. I thought that was cool.
All right, very cool. Yeah, I thought that Jedi Elect said she thought that May was sabotaging the tech, but wasn't sure. Yeah, I think it could have. I kind of assumed that for a minute too, but I liked what you guys brought up about it being Basil setting up maybe a little sting operation, and then with the help of Pip squirting like that whatever, or like fuel or something into her eyes. But, what did you guys think? So we had all that happening, and I'm still getting frustrated because I'm like, how does he not know it's not May or it's not OSHA? But we'll get
driving
to that.
Me crazy.
Kind of driving me nuts, because then we flash back over to Chimere, the stranger, and to OSHA, and I mean, he's just like, he knows everything about her. He seems to know everything that's going on. He could tell, like, he's like, oh, it feels good, doesn't it? Like, the holding a lightsaber again, and just he knew from the get-go. So what do you think about him, how he was either teaching or corrupting OSHA into what he wants her to be? So, sorry, Murray, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm interested to find out more of his history, because especially him, admitting that he was a Jedi and then not really telling us about the scar. I'm hoping we get some more info on that. And right now, it doesn't feel like he's lying to OSHA. I mean, it's possible that he is, but I think he is genuinely just telling her the truth. It just happens to be a very biased truth.
Yeah. I'll bring up Lex's question here after I get through all you guys on this one. But Brandon, what do you think about the way Manny Jacinto portraying Chimera? I mean, who'd have thought Jason from The Good Place is going to be crushing this this character?
Yeah, it's I like everything he's doing so far. I think the writing is really good for his character, and I think he's living up to the low key hype that is surrounding his character. The thing with him being a Jedi too, in her saying, I don't remember you, and he said it was a long time ago. So I'm sitting here thinking, is he, for some reason, is he like 100 years old? Is there something going on to where he's actually older? That's just one question to add onto the 90 I have for the Acolyte. And I think that's what makes his character even more strange in a stranger faction. So I think all the names, all of the portraying that character is cool. The mark on the back kind of reminds me of some Michonne and Daryl Dixon from The Walking Dead. If you guys watch that, they got some markings. So maybe he was held captive at some point, or I don't know, something. There's something there, but I can't wait to see it.
Lex might have something for us when it comes to that mark and who she thinks his master may have been. But yeah, Darren Briscoe, thanks for joining us. He says the stranger is so charismatic. I am ready to join the dark side. I mean, after this episode, I'm like, all right, Manny, give me in your workout program. Let's go.
Right.
But, Bailey, what'd you think?
I'm starting to think that his master, I have two theories, kind of. One, kind of on Brandon's line, is that he's 100 years old somehow, and this is going to lead into how the witches created these kids with the Force, which is eventually going to lead to Anakin. I wonder if that's kind of tied like that. My other theory is that his master was Vernestra, and she used like lightsaber whip and got him like that.
Ding, ding, ding. And on Night Lex says,
That's what I'm thinking.
Was his master? Because she keeps saying something to tip the scales, Like she said it 2 or 3 times now. And who knows? I'm gonna bring her up a little bit later because she's a fan favorite in the High Republic. I would be heartbroken if it was her, but I mean, I'll go with it as long as it fits the story. So, but Mike, what do you think?
Well, after that comment, my mind's blown. I wasn't even thinking in that regard, but wow, yeah. My thoughts were, I just want to know more. I mean, we find out that he's a Jedi. We find out that he might be super old, but I want to know how does he know all this stuff about Osha and May? Did he learn it through May? Was he involved in some way, or is he just reading her mind? I want to know more.
Yeah, no. Darren Briscoe says, "Do you think he cheated death?" So maybe
That's a great question.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing you can throw in the mix, and that's another thing too. Is a good friend of mine, Tim. He comes over and he watches, and he goes, "Well, there's more questions." I have a question about them being able to wrap this up in 2 episodes, so we'll see. Because I have a theory about what next week's is going to be as well, but.
That happens a lot though, where we'll get near the end of a series and you're like, how are they going to tie this up in just 2 more episodes? But they usually do it. So
so we have we have all that stuff happening. We've got these 2 separate scenes, and then we got a 3rd scene coming in, and they're going to flash to the Jedi Temple, and they're going to go and they're starting to talk to Vernestra. And the politics, right? We come in on it, and it's real politically heavy. They're talking about people who want to investigate and all these different things. And my question is, why? Why are they even allowing the Republic to bother them right now? Like, they're not in the war yet. I understand it during the Clone Wars and how Palpatine kind of sets them up, but why are they so entwined right now? It's like, I mean, what are your thoughts on that? I know some of you guys are reading the High Republic, some of you aren't. So you may have been able to see it a little bit differently. So it'll be kind of good. So Marie, you're probably the High Republic expert. What are your thoughts on the political side of things? So we both just finished The Temptation of the Force. We know how that's going on. What do you think about how ingrained politics seems to be? Because it feels like in the prequels, it was slowly happening then, but now it seems like maybe they were deeply ingrained, and from the High Republic too, because it seems like they were just one in the same almost.
Yeah, the High Republic's interesting because we can see that there's stuff going on in the galaxy that Jedi need to handle. It also threatens the Republic, and so the Jedi sort of just agree to help the Republic. But they're like, we're going to do kind of our own thing. And just gradually, as shit hits the fan, they work together more and more. And I feel like probably what happens is they get stuck there. Like the Republic gets used to having a group of people with lightsabers that can go in and solve problems. And as long as it seems like they're doing it for the right reasons, the Jedi aren't going to say no to that. So they just kind of get stuck. And I think it's kind of where they are now, that they've been doing this for long enough, and there's other political factions in the galaxy that are like, why are the Jedi doing this stuff? But they've been doing it for generations. So
yeah, it seems like it's a lot further than what we thought originally in the prequels, but that's okay. They're earning it, I guess. Mike, what about you?
I'd love to see politics just stay out of it completely, but I guess that's not the real world. And we're trying to mirror the real world and tell a real story, so it has to be entwined. But I think what Marie said makes a lot of sense. When you have people that can wield the Force and kick butt with lightsabers, once they start showing their worth, you're going to keep them. You're not going to let that get away. So you just, over time, it just gets more and more enmeshed. So I think it was a great point.
Yeah. Bailey, what about you?
I really can't add on too much more either. I mean, like they're saying, you have what's basically like the Navy SEALs in the Jedi around there. Every time something that the regular police can't handle, I mean, they're going to call in the Jedi to handle it.
Yeah.
And at
Brandon?
a time of peace, they don't have a
Oh,
huge army in the Republic, so the Jedi
Yeah.
are their army.
Yeah, because they don't
Yep.
even have that in the High Republic very much. The RDC or whatever, the Republic
It's a
Defense Coalition, is kind of a joke. So, they wouldn't have it now either. But what about you, Brandon? What do you think?
Yeah, I had to ask you a couple weeks ago, like what Vernestra was like at this time. So her wanting to kind of be on the political side of things, I have no idea what's really going on back in this time politically. So I feel like I'm kind of learning too. So yeah, like of course being here, I'm learning a lot more about what's going on in this time period too.
All right. That's kind of brings me to my next thing was about Vern. So I know that, some people are reading the High Republic, some people aren't. And I'll be curious as to people's takes on her. But to me personally, she does not feel like the Vernestra Rowe that's been in the books. Like it doesn't seem she's kind of where we're at. Of course, this is what, Marie, we're probably 90 years away from all this happening, maybe, or,
Yeah,
I mean, a long time because she's 115 or something
something like that.
in this series. So I mean, there's been a branch, and she's only like 17 maybe in the High Republic. So I mean, a lot of things could happen to her. But there were a couple nuggets, and people may not pick up on them. I'll just kind of drop them. You guys can. But she says, when they're getting ready to go, and she's like, "You're coming with us because you get nauseous in hyperspace." And in the books, spoiler alert for the High Republic, she has visions every time she's in hyperspace. For the most part, it seems like
kind of randomly.
Yeah, some of them are random. The last book was The Eye of Darkness. I mean, she's having full-on conversations with people that are dead, that aren't
Ooh,
Jedi.
freaky.
They seem to be kind of tied into, and she has this mission that they haven't even mentioned since. I don't know. I don't want to get into it too much because I know people are reading them and stuff like that. But and then of course the light whip. I'm super excited to see it. I was hoping for a little bit more.
Yeah, more than a
but
fly swatter.
Yeah, so my wife was like, I need that for flies in the house. But Marie, you've probably read it the most. What do you think about how they're portraying Vern? And they call her Vern in the books. She hates it. She likes to be called Vern.
Her least favorite nickname.
Yeah. So Marie, what do you think about how Rebecca Henderson's portraying this character and some of the little nuggets that they're giving us about her? And do you think that she could beat Kymir's master? And like, is that a whip mark on his back?
I think it's possible. I love Vernestra. She's one of my favorite characters. I think Rebecca's doing a fantastic job. Vernestra makes me really sad in this series because she feels really sad. When we first meet her in the books, she's like 16. She's on top of the world. She's a brand new Jedi Knight, the youngest of a generation. She like saves a bunch of people, can, do a whole bunch of stuff. And then we kind of slowly see her. This isn't major spoilers, just like minor things. She gets kind of sad in the High Republic because a bunch of shitty things happen. And she kind of gets a little almost disillusioned with the Jedi Order. And so to see her where she is now, 100 years later, kind of in charge and holding the Jedi Order together almost. I don't think it feels out of character. I think it feels like 100 years of character development that we haven't seen. And it makes me sad.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Doesn't feel the same character to me, but like you said, it's going to be 100 years of craziness. I mean, she abandons the Jedi for almost a full year and hides out kind of on her own at the end. I don't want to, Mike's almost at the end of, we don't want to tell anything.
I wish I had all this knowledge.
Yeah, she's going to be sad. So, but what do you guys think? So like, Bailey, Brandon, I don't know if you guys are reading the High Republic. How do you feel about this character Vernestra? Because if I'm an outside, because I had to explain this stuff to my wife and to my friend Tim that we're watching the show. But how do you guys see Vernestra? Because she seems really cold to me, and maybe that's the sad Marie that you're picking up but she just seems really cold and so mechanical, which doesn't feel like her character to me. So how do you guys see her, Brandon? What do you think of Ernestra Rowe?
So, like I said, I don't know anything about her, but I mean, there's something about her to where, yeah, she's kind of like cold. That is a good look at her. But she seems like she always needs to have something to do with what's going on. And I feel like this whole time, like even she could have went to Kofar. She could have went to or like where was she during the time of like Brendock? Like was she would she have been too young at that point, or like what's going on? Maybe she showed up or something. Who knows? I mean, I know she's not one of the 4 Jedi. I feel like that could raise another question, but I mean, it just seems like she really wants to be a part of what's going on, but then doesn't. And obviously we see that like tonight, she shows up after the fact. And then, yeah, kind of like Lex saying here, like she seems super persistent about having to go on a mission. I agree with that. That's something I pick up on too. She looks cool 100%. I love the purple lightsaber, and it's a whip, and I love that a High Republic character has come to live action. You know, like that's huge for huge fans and people that read the books like you guys. So I mean, I'm on her train too, but I don't. Something's off for sure.
All right. What about you, Bailey? How you feeling
Yes.
about Ernestra?
I agree with Brandon. Something's off. I kind of feel like they're going to, if they don't give her a backstory in the show, I think they're going to do something at some point that something happened, because she just seems cold and calculating, kind of, I mean, robotic.
Yeah, for sure. Mike? Because you've gotten a little bit of it, not a bunch.
Yeah, I don't know much about her because, like I said, I'm in the 3rd book, about three quarters of the way through. So I have some exposure to her, but not much. And now with all this talk, I wish I knew what you guys know. But yeah, to this point, she seems, to me, like frustrated, just like that she has to deal with all this, all the political stuff and whatnot, stuck in a position she doesn't really want to be in. But yeah, I mean, I'm really excited with all the information you guys are giving us, a little taste of the future, knowing a little bit more now, kind of seeing her in a different light. Yeah.
This is a good point. How did we feel about having to see Jecki? I was like, oh,
Yeah.
That's
Up front.
that's a good question. That was heartbreaking. I was like, oh, that was too soon. I'm not really invested in Yord for some reason. I mean, I think he was a funny character, but I just felt like Jecki had all this potential. How do we feel about seeing poor Jecki like that? I that's pretty cold.
Yeah. Why was Soul in such a rush to get Osha and get off the planet, and didn't even take the time to, bury the Jedi, or, put a cloak over them, nothing. They just abandoned all those Jedi.
Yeah, he was running as fast as he could. Marie, what do you think about seeing Jecki? Was it a good reminder of what just happened?
Yeah, it was very sobering. Very, very sad. I'm hoping that this is my little like High Republic selfish. I'm hoping that we get to see their lightsabers get put into the Kyber Arch. I hope we get to see that. If you haven't read the High Republic, they kind of like have talked about that there's an arch full of Kyber crystals of fallen Jedi, and that like anyone that they were able to recover their lightsaber, they add it. I think it'd be a fun little tribute if we get to see that at some point.
That would be really
That's
cool.
dope.
Yeah, it's there's some good stuff wrapped around that.
Damn,
with
that's really cool.
So,
yeah, but I love seeing Vern pull out her light whip. I thought that was really cool. And also kind of a fun callback that she got to use it on Kofar, because the first time she got to use it ever was on a very similar like foresty planet, and she was using it to clear brush because otherwise they would die. So it was fun.
Lex says it was kind of cool, but it was a little bit of a waste. Really cool to see, but to kill the nasty bug. Yeah, I think Lex, you're right though. I want to see more. But was that whip? I know you're a little distracted here, I guess, but was that whip to show us, like, so we see that whip, wow, and then we see a scar that looks like it could have been from a whip.
That's gotta be, yeah.
Is that what do we think about? I mean, is this a
That
connection
has to
that
be why.
we're
That has
okay
to
to
be why
make?
they pulled out the whip in this episode. Because, like I said, it's not a glorified bug swatter. You know, that had to be why they showed the whip in this episode.
Yeah. It's a
Bailey, what do you
good,
think?
good juxtaposition.
Yeah.
I'm 100% on board with what. That's why they showed it. That's.
All right.
But that was
Right.
always.
You know, to be fair, because I'm on team. I don't know, dude. It's so weird because it doesn't make any sense why he would say that he was a Jedi, and then Osha, you know, however long that she was there, like she didn't know who he was. And I understand that there's a lot of Jedi there. You know, like Balin knew Anakin and told Ahsoka, like, you know, Anakin spoke highly of you. So I mean, people like Jedi know Jedi, but like,
Yeah.
why would she not know who Chimere was if he was a Jedi? And that's I'm on the team that makes me think that he's older, like he's a lot older. And so I mean, if is Vernestra like in her 20s, 30s right now in the Acolyte?
She's 115.
Oh, okay, yeah. Never mind. That's what happens when you don't read books.
But that does mean that she could be like, are we taking for granted that he's a human?
Yeah.
I mean, look at
Dude.
like Solo movie, right? The bad guy. He's just a little bit different than human. You know, there's a lot of characters and a lot of creatures that are like human-like, but they could have different species. Like, are we just taking for granted that he is a human because he looks like a human? Lots of questions.
How old was Indira? And she's relatively human looking.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if they've given us that.
Yeah.
To be honest, if they've given us a birthday, I'm sure they're going to.
She'd have to be in her hundreds as well. So, you know, humanoid creatures apparently can live into their hundreds.
Well, the Force does help. I know Jedi live longer, right? We've seen that. So I want to know how Chimera was a Jedi long ago. Force ascension, transfer, maybe essence transfer, maybe. Yeah, it's kind of what we're talking about right now, Patrick, is how this is possible. And then, you know, is he human? Is this a connection? Are we reading too much into it? It does seem kind of weird, though, to just pull that whip out, whack, done. And then we go to a scene, you know, we go to another amazing scene by Manny Jacinto, just kind of being real smooth and like luring everyone into the dark side. I felt like, I'm like, sign me up. But
what if he's like Zam Wessel? Like, what if he's like a shapeshifter?
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine just like, I don't know, that could be really, really cool too. But I don't know. There's something going on. How does Vernestra get her light whip? Did she create it? Did she inherit it?
The Force, you can tell me if I'm wrong, Marie, but she has like a vision from the Force and like she just kind of reconstructs it and then turns it on, but she keeps it hidden from everybody
for years. And
she never even gets a chance. She never even tells her master about it. And she's kind of like, and this is one of those things that gets me into the like, why are Jedi so afraid to like be Jedi in the council? Because it's like they're going to be judged for everything they're doing, and well, this isn't the traditional way of doing something. But the Force kind of called to me and told me to do this. I don't know. I'm trying to think. She uses it in the Force, the temptation of the Force, doesn't she? Like for like kind of like the first time in front of other Jedi that we know of, that we see.
Yes.
So I mean, she keeps it hidden for maybe 3. Well, it would be at least a full year because I mean we know she kind of creates it in the middle of some stuff. But let's go ahead and jump to the ending here. Let's talk about that helmet. All right, the cortosis. You know, I want to say one thing. People are like giving, you know, we want stuff from Legends and blah blah blah. We're getting stuff from Legends. Like they're bringing some really cool stuff in from Legends. Cortosis. You know, there were people that jumped on really quickly. I think Brandon, you actually messaged me right after the episode because someone had posted it. Like some people out there just know this stuff. Like,
right away.
How did we feel about the Vader-esque ending? Like, I mean, I know it couldn't possibly be the only person when she puts that helmet on and you start hearing that breathing and just what does it mean? Is she turning? Like what's happening? What does that mean? How do we feel about it? Mike, what did you think?
I don't know what it means for sure, but I know if there's a cool helmet sitting there, I'm gonna put it on.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't know how you would help yourself. So
Yeah.
but Bailey, what about you?
I'm with Mike. If I see a cool helmet, I mean, she had more self-control than I would have. As soon as he walked out the room, I'd have been over there.
Brandon?
Dude, right away, once I heard the breathing, you can think about what's going on, especially with the whole Vader thing and like him taking his first breaths and that was one thing. But I'm just still thinking that's so Michael Myers when he's a kid, like when he puts the mask on and you get that POV through the mask of what it looks like. And it's not like, Boba Fett looking up at the twin suns after he gets out the Sarlacc. It's not like that kind of POV through a helmet. It's something sinister, Michael Myers, before he goes upstairs to his sister, that's all you see is that shot just through the mask. So I'm like, dude, this is scary. I'm loving this little horror-esque. And I posted right on my Instagram story. I'm like, I think Leslie Headland loves Halloween.
Yeah.
So that's what I took from it.
Yeah, I love your takes on these things because I'm not a horror fan at all, but I'm aware of all these things. And when you mention them, it brings it back. Like, oh yeah. It's cool getting that point POV.
Heck yeah.
Oh.
Or I mean, you can even take it the funny route and think of Jim Carrey with the mask, like that, putting that thing on, changing his style. I mean, I think it's so cool because it feels like Star Wars, but it's not Star Wars.
Right.
But it works. That's just what I love about that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Murray, what do you think about how do you feel about that ending?
I loved the juxtaposition of hearing like the distorted breathing that we're used to, like we associate with Vader, and then you hear her breathing, and it's like they kind of switch back and forth for a few seconds, and it's like you can feel the shift in her own perception of herself, and that's cool. Yeah. I'm excited to see more.
Yeah, I mean, again, every week I'm like, I need more, or I feel like on crate. But the difference between how Chimera the Stranger is going through and dealing with Osha, because he just walks out. I mean, he lets her take the saber to her throat. I mean, he there's never aggressive, just kind of ask her lots of questions. And I know we did skip over some stuff, but what do you guys, and then of course we flash, right before that scene with the helmet, Soul has May tied down and he's like, we got lots of things to do. Like just the difference, you got this Jedi Master who I feel like he could probably handle. He already has handled May once, right? And that awesome fight scene in episode 2. But he has her locked down in cuffs. And then you have Chimera who could easily handle Osha, just leaves and lets her figure things out for her own. Like, how did you feel about that difference? And it kind of comes full circle back to that teach and corrupt. Mike, what do you think about that?
Yeah.
We've got questions for everybody.
Yeah, it's a good point. It kind of brings us back to what this whole series is presenting is, just the Jedi not being necessarily the heroes, not being in control. Like you said, both of them can handle the girls with no problem. He's a Jedi Master. He's potentially a Sith Lord, but both have the Force. They could easily outdo either of them. They're not a threat in any way to those two. But yeah, just seeing the juxtaposition of how your hero, the Jedi, is, like you said, he's got the girl strapped down and handling it that way. And the Sith is just being calm and collected and handling it that way. It's really interesting.
All right. Brandon.
Yeah, I think it's really cool that dynamic. Yeah, I think Mike really nailed it right there. There's really not too much to say about it. I just think the dynamic's tight. I love it.
All right. Bailey, anything to add?
I can't add on to it either. I think he put it
Mike's
perfectly.
crushing it. Marie, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, just seeing the captivity versus being tied down, it was so interesting. I think, and the juxtaposition is very good.
I'm curious. So next week, Kogonada, the guy who directed episode 3, is supposedly the director of episode 7. So are we getting that flashback? Are we finally going to?
We have to, don't we?
Right?
We have to.
Goodness gracious! Like, I mean, it almost felt like bad writing to me. Like right as he's about to tell her the ship comes on, right as about to tell her the flash. I mean, not bad writing, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, okay, this is like the 5th time now in 3 episodes that you've taken us to this. Are we getting the flashback next week? Mike, yes or no?
Yes, we have to.
3, yes or no?
I think we're set up for it. We need it.
Daily?
Absolutely.
And Brandon?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Good. Is that what we need? We probably do need it, though. I think you're right. I'm just kind of looking over these questions here. What do we think? What is your biggest takeaway? We'll just kind of wrap it up. I'll give you guys an opportunity because we are closing in on an hour. What is your biggest takeaway from this episode? Because it's not a high impact, crazy, episode like we got in episode 5. So what is kind of like your biggest takeaway from this episode? Bailey, I'll start with you. Like, what is like?
I just like that we're seeing that, and I said it earlier, that the Jedi are bright and shiny on a pedestal heroes. Meaning, as we're seeing, we mentioned, we've got our captive tied up here. It's just, I really, really love how we're delving into deeper into the Jedi, and we're seeing more than the surface level that we usually get.
All right, Brandon.
Yeah, I think I got 2. The first one's super quick. I think it's just really weird how Soul left, and it seemed like he wanted help. He gets help, but then he leaves right away.
Yeah,
that is just something that's so weird.
Figured out that he had May and not Osha.
I think so. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's something so weird because maybe like what if they were to take May or Osha, obviously for the crimes. But I mean, having Soul, I just feel like Soul's getting himself in too deep at this point. I feel like he's just trying to fix something that's just too far gone. But at the same time, we don't know what happened that night. We don't know what he did. Is he trying to, come back and basically serve himself justice, serve the twins justice, maybe the Jedi Order as a whole, or the assassination of the witches of Brendok? Maybe, who knows, like what exactly happened. But the biggest thing I loved from this episode that I could say I take away is knowing Kymir's background a little bit more, because him being a Jedi is super important, especially with the Ren theories, the Rule of 2 theory, him being Plagueis or Tenebrous or anything connected in that sort of way. I feel like knowing that he was once a Jedi can kind of sum up these actions. So, I mean, something cool's happening. I can't wait.
All right, Mike, what about you?
Well, I think we said earlier about how this is almost like a filler episode, but better. There, like, so many questions came so close to being answered, and some little tidbits got added in. It just, as a filler episode, it built the tension. Like, I'm more and more wanting to see next week's episode. I'd love to have had all the information that I wanted this week, but it's not like I'm like, screw it, now I'm done. I want more. So it's really good how it just built up like that.
Yeah. Marie, what about you?
Yeah, I think the episode was really very useful in giving us information about the different philosophies. Like, we can see that the Jedi, like, without telling us that it's the case, but we can see the Jedi are very tied down in what they have to do in the galaxy, and maybe resulting in them tying others down, versus the Sith, who are all about freedom and release from those kinds of responsibilities. And I think it'll pay off. I think we'll get some answers, hopefully.
All right. Yeah. I'm every week it's just like, okay, what's next? What's next? Cliffhanger. This one wasn't really a cliffhanger, but man, the questions are right there. They're just like we can reach out and grab them. Um, I'm excited for it. So we always score this out of pips, 1 out of 10 pips. I'll let you guys give you guys a second here too. And when you're giving your score, do you think that do we talk about it off air about them being able to wrap this up in 2 episodes? Or did we talk about that? We talked about it on air.
Talk about it on here, yeah.
Did we talk about it on air? Okay, I wasn't sure if we were still had gone live yet. Can they wrap this up in 2 episodes, or they're going to have a season 2 announced after this is over? So I want your rating out of pips. What you think, and then is this getting wrapped up in 2 episodes? Because if we get a flashback, then it means we only have one more episode to wrap up whatever was going to break our hearts next week. What Master Soul did, and the ramifications for the Jedi Order and the Republic and all this stuff. Like, is it going to get wrapped up? So, Brandon, I'm going to come to you first, sir.
And
are we going to get wrapped up in 2?
I'll go 7 out of 10.
Okay.
Pips, and I will go no. It's going to lead up to a season 2, but the story definitely is not going to get finished the way we want. Yeah.
All right. Bailey?
I have to agree, 7 out of 10, and we're probably getting a season 2.
All right. Mike?
I'm going to go 7.5. And I don't know. I had the same feelings or the same thoughts with Bad Batch. I thought there's no way. Like there's too much to happen yet. They're not going to be able to tie this up, and they did. So I mean, they did leave it open too for another season. So I'm leaning in they're going to tie it up, but I think there'll be enough loose ends that if they decide to, they could move forward with another season.
All right, Marie.
Yeah, I'm going to say 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. And I think that we're going to see a decent conclusion to the story that we have, but it's going to leave enough open that we could explore it further.
Nice. Dad Vader is going 5 out of 10, going harsh on it. If there were 2-hour episodes, maybe I'm assuming he's talking about wrapping things up. Dad Vader, I'm curious, why the 5 out of 10? What didn't you like about it, I guess? And give it a 50, so let us know. Let me see. We had a couple questions here. We got Pop Tower said, I'm all in on Team Chimera. I think we're all ready to go to the dark side after this fool is waxing. Just
I can live on that planet.
Yeah, man. All the perks of being the bad guy. So, and then Jedi Alexis said she thinks that we're definitely getting the next flashback episode because there's still stuff we've seen in the trailers that we haven't seen in the show, which is crazy. And I brought up to my wife and my friend Tim that Vernestra has this thing where she can't really fly without wrecking everything. And so I'm assuming that the ship that's going to crash next week or the week after that we haven't seen go through that like ice field thing, it's got to be Vernestra so she stays consistently bad at flying spaceships. But let's see if there's anything else here. Okay, no one watches our says he's a cool Sith. I like him almost as much as Maul. Yeah, he's getting there.
Nice.
I mean, he had more screen time than Maul in the original, the prequel trilogy.
Already.
So, already. I mean, so got something to go on there. But all right. Well, I want to say thank you. Whoop, here we go. Dad Vader. Pace again did have good stuff for us to chew on, but I feel like I'm paying for a full rack of ribs, but only getting 3. All right. All right. So maybe the storytelling is not happening fast enough. Maybe I do think we're all kind of in the same boat. Like we want more. Probably a good thing though that we want more. Or are they starving us? Are they starving us on purpose? Can they give us more? But anyways, I want to thank you guys, all guys and gals, all for coming on the show. And I've really enjoyed talking about it. We will go live on Thursday, even though it's July the 4th, because Jack calls it Treason Day. So we'll celebrate Treason Day. treason day on the 4th. But before you guys go, I'm gonna give you a chance to talk about what you do. And no one watches RD says slow burns are very popular. I do enjoy it. I liked it in Andor. But Marie, tell us about yourself, where people can find you, and
Yeah. So I am a cosplayer, primarily a High Republic cosplayer. You can find me on Instagram as So Much Life, and you can find me on TikTok as So Much Life Cosplay.
All right, Brandon.
Yes, everything Clan Brandalorian. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on TikTok, YouTube as well. That's where I try to spend a lot of the time. And then I just created a Twitter. I have 5 followers, so go follow me if you haven't already. So yeah, that's where you can find me. Everything lore, theories, Funko, and Lego. So go check it out.
Bailey.
I really don't have much anything. I just kind of tag on to Brandon's when he wants me on. So
All right. And Mike, besides delivering people's mail, where can they find you? I don't think you have any
You can
social
find me
media.
delivering people's mail in my hometown. Otherwise, I have no online presence. So yeah, just here. Come to explore the Force, the Acolyte after hours. I'll be on as many of these as I can. This is fun.
All right. Hey, thanks, Jedi Lex. Look forward to hearing your takes. But again, thank you guys all for coming on the show. I'm excited for next week. I hope you guys all are too. And we'll see everybody. Let us know in the comments. Let us know what you thought, what you liked, what you didn't like, what you think is going to happen next week. Is Vernestra actually the bad guy and going to break everyone's hearts from the High Republic fandom? Let us know in the comments below. All right. And for all of us, we have spoken. We'll see you guys on Thursday.